Hey peeps, what's up? Hope you're good. Hope you're well. It's February 24th, Saturday, 2024. I'm going to get right to it. I preemptively apologize. I've been sick this week, and so my voice is it's been a little shot this week. In fact, there was one day where I lost my voice, so it's just now recovering. And I thought I'd start off. I've been wanting to do this for a couple months, but I thought I'd just make a video where I talk about my favorite releases of that month, both movies and music, and so I'm going to do that. I'm going to try to keep it to the top three because my videos go for too long. At least I think they do. So each month at the end of the month, I'm going to talk about what I think are my three favorite physical movie releases. Because I'm still buying physical movie releases much more so than records. I'm veering away from buying so much vinyl. So this will be a combination of showing stuff and not showing stuff. So I'm going to get right into it. I'm going to talk about my three favorite physical 4K Blu-ray releases of this month. And number one, these aren't in any order, but these are just my three favorites of the month. And a lot of times I only buy three in a month, if that. So these are three that I purchased this month. I only purchased a couple more, but I'm going to start with this. The Beverly Hills Cop trilogy. I know it's kind of a pedestrian, boring release, but the first release, the first Beverly Hills Cop movie, which is now 40 years old, which blows my mind. It's hard to overstate the popularity and greatness of that movie. I went to the theater to see that movie when I was 12 years old, and it blew my mind. This man became a mega star when that movie came out in the 80s. It's hard to explain this to younger people if you weren't there. With Netflix and all of these different avenues to watch stand-up comedy, and you've got so much stand-up comedy getting thrown in your face. Back at this time in the early mid 80s, you had a handful of stand-up comics that you were exposed to. And just like now, most of them were shit. In fact, now I think stand-up comedy has never been worse in history than it is now. It's just terrible now because it seems like anybody can be a stand-up comic these days, as long as you can get up there and be mildly amusing and boring audiences can relate to what you're saying, which to me is not funny. I don't know how people get away with being called a comedian just because they stand on stage for an hour and relate to the audience. I think that's completely obnoxious and unfunny. To me, the greatest stand-up comedies of all time are the ones that make you think, the ones that make you uncomfortable, the ones that you don't agree with, the ones that make you kind of, step back from the stage and be like, wow, that's not something I would have come up with. That's the kind of comedy I was raised and weaned on, and the kind of comedy I still love. Who the fuck wants to watch some boring Yahoo on stage relate to me? Please. That's what I have friends for. I don't want to watch a comic do it. I know I sound like Seinfeld here, but who are these people who think stand-up comics basically revolves around how many of your own ideas can be mirrored back at you? That's not comedy. Okay? That's not funny. It's just stupid. There's a word for that. It's called hack. It's called pandering to the audience. That is where the term hack came up. That is where they came up with the term hack when it comes to comedians. Some shithead who stands on stage and just tells you what they know you want to hear so you can applaud and act like a brainless moron while you apply all of your own stupid ethics to whatever this chode on stage is relating to you. It's called boring yokel hackism. And Eddie Murphy is one of the greatest stand-ups that has ever graced this earth. Period. Nothing more to be said. And if you don't understand that after watching this man's comedy material from the 80s, then I can't help you. Nobody can. You will be forever clueless. This man was hilarious as a stand-up. One of the best. His main mentor was the greatest stand-up comedy of all time, Richard Pryor. And if you don't appreciate him, then you just get the fuck off my channel. I don't even want you here. If you can't understand the brilliance and the genius of Richard Pryor, even now in 2024, fuck off. Go. Leave my channel now. I don't ever want to see you here again. Leave. Richard Pryor is the Picasso of stand-up comedy. Stand-up comedy would not be here in its current form without Richard Pryor. You disagree with me? Bye-bye. I don't want you here. Yeah, I'm judging you. If you hate Richard Pryor or don't like him, I'm going to full-on judge you. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Goodbye. So anyway, back to Beverly Hills Cop after that 5-minute diatribe. But it needs to be said. Stand-up comedy, 99% of it these days is shit, just like most movies are. I swear, you get on Netflix or even HBO. HBO used to be the center, the epicenter for great stand-up comedy. But man, you watch stand-up comedy now, you're like, really? This is what stand-up comedy is now? You stand on stage and perform for a bunch of snowflakes for an hour and lower yourself to trying to relate to their most basic, common, boring humanities and pander them to them for an hour and you're heralded a genius? Kiss my ass. You want some examples of great stand-up comics? This man, Richard Pryor, Sam Kinison, even Roseanne Barr. You don't have to like Roseanne Barr, but she was fucking funny in her day. Joan Rivers, Don Rickles. There are plenty out there. Rodney Dangerfield. Good God, people. You want to understand how to tell a joke in the correct and funny way. Study these comedians. Modern comedians, I don't see a lot that I like, really. I think Chris Rock is genius. Chris Rock is the greatest modern stand-up there is. It does not get any better than Chris Rock. If you want to study the way stand-up comedy should be delivered, in my opinion, and what I mean by that is in a wholly original, unique, singular way where someone is giving you an independent idea, an independent thought, and encourages people to have their own independent thought, look no further than Chris Rock. Chris Rock is the best. He is the best to be doing it on our planet at this moment. Chris Rock. So anyone who wants to argue with me that I don't like modern stand-up, I do. I love stand-up. I love stand-up almost as much as I love movies and music. I have a deep passion for it, but I just don't see much that's good or funny. That's the whole point, guys. You know, another one, excuse me. I'm sick, like I said. Dave Attell is another brilliant comic who is a master at what he does. Dave Attell. Anthony Jeselnik, another brilliant comic. Check him out. I do like modern stand-up. It's just hard to find. You got to dig around for it. All right, I'm going to shut up now. 3 movies are in here. The first one, which I think is brilliant. The second one, which is pretty good, not bad. And then the third one, which is just out and out dog shit. To this day, I have no idea what happened with that movie because John Landis directed it. I love John Landis. I think he's one of the greatest directors of comedy movies ever. But boy, this movie's a mess. I will say the only time I've ever seen Beverly Hills Cop 3 was in the theater. I saw this in the theater back in 1990. I think it came out in 1990. And I was so massively disappointed I couldn't even believe it. I was like, this is Eddie Murphy and Beverly Hills Cop and John Landis, and it still sucks this bad. I've seen interviews with John Landis since, and he's mentioned that it was just something that they wanted to get done, and the movie studio rushed it, and they only had like a week or 2 to film. It was hard to believe how bad this movie was. Now, it's been over 30 years since I've seen it. I do plan on watching this. I hope I like it more than I did over 30 years ago, but this movie was a mess. And they only had a couple weeks to shoot it, so that probably had something to do with it. And they were trying to push the product out. And I think John Landis just wanted to work. He wanted to be working and have a job. Eddie Murphy asked him to direct it. So I think the circumstances weren't great, but still, this movie's a real mess. But maybe I'll like it more this time. I'm happy to have all of these together in a box in 4K. That's pretty cool. My second choice for the month is this: Conan the Barbarian and Conan the Destroyer. Arrow Video put this out. I just got this. Was it last week? This week? I don't know. Some point in the last couple weeks. You get 2 movies, you get a book, you get some posters, you get shit. All kinds of random shit. We all like random extra shit, don't we? It's loaded with bonus features. I'm not going to go over them with you, but you get commentaries and documentaries and deleted scenes and all kinds of crap. All the stuff you want. Excuse me, sorry. This video is probably a poor choice. I can't talk. But this is excellent. Love me some Conan. I've never been a fan of Conan the Destroyer. I didn't understand what the point of releasing a PG rated Conan was, even back when I was a kid. Here is Conan the Barbarian. I didn't love this movie at the begin when this first was released in the beginning of its infancy. I didn't love this movie. It's grown on me a little bit over the years. What is that? Oh, okay. It's grown on me over the years. I've learned to like this movie a little bit more. Still don't love it. I was a huge fan of the comics, and that is one of the reasons I have never liked Conan the Destroyer, because it's rated PG. No, no. The world of Conan is not in the PG rated realm, especially if you've read the comics. This man, Conan the Barbarian, not, well, Arnold too, probably to some extent, but although I don't think so. Conan was a bastard. He was a violent, hair trigger, borderline sociopathic, womanizing bastard. But that was the charm of the comic books. I'm not saying that I approve of those things, okay? Those of you who aren't bright enough to understand that I am not those things, that you can still enjoy that in a story as long as it's fiction. I'm going to break that down for you, because there are people out there who misappropriate ideas and opinions. I loved Conan because it was a story. You either have to be on board or not, and Conan was a fucking asshole. And it was extremely violent world toward everybody, not just men, but men and women. Lots of sex, lots of nudity, lots of violence, lots of one-upmanship, and lots of selfishness, and lots of narcissism. I mean, that was the world. Conan is the ultimate anti-hero in the comics. In the movies, not so much. In the movies, he's kind of seen as this heroic, purely heroic figure, and that's not what he was in the comic books. So when Conan the Destroyer came out, it was I didn't like it. It was just Conan. You can't do PG with Conan. You can't. It's not what that is. It's not the story. Now, obviously, you can take whatever creative license you want when you're making a movie from a book. Christ knows Stanley Kubrick did it, and countless other number of directors have done it. Pretty much any time you make a Stephen King book into a movie, that happens. But I thought they did it extremely with Conan the Destroyer. I've never been a fan of that movie. Now, I haven't seen it since the mid 80s. I saw it when I was a kid, so I will be watching this again on this 4K. I love this picture of Conan, by the way. Whoa, 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 whoa. But you get a nice thick book, get a lot of pictures, you get a lot of text. Yeah, it's a nice touch. Some lovely pictures of some lovely women. That's another thing. I thought Conan the Destroyer was kind of a vehicle to crowbar Grace Jones into a movie. She really didn't have much to do in this movie. I mean, who doesn't like Grace Jones? I'm not saying I don't like her. I think she's great, but she didn't have anything to do in that movie, and she shouldn't have been in that movie. And she had her clothes on too. I mean, if you read the Conan comic books, there's hardly a time where women had their clothes on. Again, that was part of the allure and the attraction to it. As a young boy, that's one of the main reasons I read that stupid thing. So it'd be nice to have a movie and even a series that is hardcore like that, hardcore like the comic books were. Again, it's fiction. I appreciate fantasy worlds for what they are. It doesn't make you those things. It just makes you appreciate someone's vision. You know, I appreciate ideas and concepts that artists come up with that I wouldn't necessarily come up with on my own, and that's what Conan the comic did. It created this world that I wasn't familiar with, and that's why I liked it. You get some posters, like some gratuitous muscle flexing shots from Arnold. I mean, they couldn't have chosen a better Conan. Arnold crushes in these movies. I mean, Arnold's always great. There's the theatrical poster, which, you know, really nicely done. Nice touches here. And then, let me show this as another poster here. You guessed it, it's for Conan the Barbarian. Written and directed by the great John Milius, aka Walter Sobchak. That's a great poster. That is a poster. And this woman who played his partner slash fuck buddy in this movie, she was fantastic too. They both they both looked great in this movie. They both kicked serious ass. And that was another thing about the Conan comic books. Like everyone was kicking ass. The men, the women, the kids, they were all kicking each other's asses. I mean, you were not safe. Anyone could kill you at any moment. You trusted nobody. There's more Arnold flexing. Conan the Barbarian, I really have grown to appreciate this movie. I did not appreciate it in the early days, but I have grown to appreciate it, and I am happy to own this box set. Now you're going to wait 20 minutes for me to cram these back into the box. Oh, here we go. That's much easier than I thought. Yeah, not a bad box set. I think I paid 50 or 60 bucks for this. I felt like that was a fair price. And this will more than likely go out of print, so soon enough you won't be able to find this. So, and then this is my release of the month, and I think you'll see why. This is just an obvious choice. This is a 4K Blu-ray set. I forget the actual title of this. What is it? Universal Classic Monsters Collection. This has got all of the classic monster movies updated in 4K, tons of bonus features. You get this big book case. Here's the back cover. These are the movies you get. Creatures from the Black Lagoon, you get Dracula, Phantom of the Opera, you get Bride of Frankenstein, you get the Mummy, you get the Wolfman, and the Invisible Man. They're all here. Eight of... Does it get any more classic? No, it doesn't. And check out this packaging. What a picture. Look at this, man. A friend of mine picked this up and he said this would make a great poster. He's right. That's a poster waiting to be framed right there, man. Ah, love, and I've watched a few of these. I haven't had time to venture into all of these yet. I have watched Dracula and I've watched Creature from the Black Lagoon. Those are the only two I've watched. They both look amazing. You get a download code for all of these, all of them. This was like the back the back picture promoting the set. Just like a little one sheet here. You get all the specs. And these are loaded with bonus features, special features galore. So you're not just getting the movies. I'm not going to go over those with you, but you open up the book, you get a table of contents, you get, actually, I haven't really gone through all this. You basically get kind of like a fully illustrated with text walkthrough of these movies. Here's Dracula. Yeah, I mean, this is absolutely worth any amount, well, any amount of money up to a couple $100. I think I spent $130 for this, so I feel like that's worth it, but here you go. Yeah, 130 bucks, I'm pretty sure I spent for this. Money well spent. 8 4K movies, all classics, every one of them a bona fide classic. And this packaging is it can't be beat. So there are my 3 choices for physical movie media releases of the month of February 2024. I'm just putting all my stuff back here. Yeah, pick this up. Find the funds and pick this up. All right, let's get to some music after 22 minutes of me going on about movies. So this will be a combo of me not showing things and showing things because 2 of my 3 albums of the month I have not picked up physically. So there is that. But my first choice, I'm going to say, is the new J Mascis album, Mascis. There are many different ways to say his name. I don't remember how to say it. I don't really care. You know who I'm talking about? Dinosaur Junior Man, J Mascis, whatever. The name of the album is What Do We Do Now? And I love this guy. Every time he puts out a solo album, I swear to God, I have this rhythm with him. Every time he puts out a new solo album, I listen to it and I get stuck on 3 or 4 songs. They're so fucking good. I listen to them on repeat for weeks. I'm like, God, this is a good song. I mean, he's such a good songwriter, amazing guitarist, one of the greatest ever, in my opinion. And his new solo album is no worse or better than anything he's ever done as a solo artist. It's excellent. Every fucking song is so good, musically and compositionally and lyrically. It's just so good. I really love this guy. Every time he puts out a new album, it's really fun and exciting for me. The new album came out on Sub Pop. What Do We Do Now? Check it out. My favorite songs right now from the album, the first one, I Can't Believe We're Here. That's one of the songs I've had on repeat. I love the song You Don't Understand Me. That one's been on repeat. I mean, it's 10 tracks and 45 minutes of just rock and roll pop perfection. Like anything he does. That's what he does. He's got one speed, and it's superstar speed. I really love this guy. And he's got, I'm not telling any fan of this man anything that you don't already know, but his sense of humor is so classic. I just love his sense of humor, and it's always that dryness, even in his vocal delivery. It's so dry. Um, there's just not much I don't love about him. So pick this up. What Do We Do Now? It's just another J Mascis album. It's brilliant. It's wonderful. I love it. And honestly, there are a couple of songs I barely even heard because I've been stuck on 3 or 4 songs I'm just repeating at this point. But check it out. That's definitely one of my albums of the month. Second album of the month is Boris Blank. Um, his new album called Resonance. Boris Blank, as you know or may not know, the man from Yellow, the man responsible for the music and the production, and with the exception of the voice, he's responsible for all of it. Not to slight anyone else in Yellow, Boris Blank obviously is one of the greatest electronic producers of all time, if you ask me. Boris Blank is amazing. I am not trying to take anything away from Dieter Meyer. Dieter Meyer has one of the greatest, most unique voices of all time. That's what makes Yellow one of the most brilliant, unique groups of all time. But Boris Blank doesn't do a lot of solo stuff. And his new album, Resonance, is really beautiful. Those of you who like ambient music, it's ambient music, but delivered to you the only way that Boris Blank could give it to you. It's got that Boris Blank edge to it. And those of you who appreciate very unique production styles and appreciate Boris Blank, you'll know what I mean by that. Very rich, very deep sounding, and it's pretty much purely ambient. There's a little bit of techno, electro vibes going on it, but it's a fantastic album. I can't recommend it enough. I do not have it on vinyl. In fact, I don't even plan on buying it. I was gonna get it on wax, but you can't find it for a reasonable price. I went to the website. It's on Ian Records, which is Ian Tregening's label, who has recorded with Yellow for many years and has done a lot of his own production and remix work over the years. I went to buy it from the website. It's not there. I looked at Discogs and no one in America has it. It's only European sellers and they all want 40, 50 dollars for it. Then you have to pay 30 to have it shipped. I'm not paying 80 bucks for a record. It's just not happening. And Resonance is available on Apple Music, so that's good enough for me. Boris Blank, Resonance. Yeah, I really get tired of playing this record game. I know I've nattered on about it before, but I'm really starting to wean off the vinyl buying so much. I'm just not part of this. Well, I don't know. It's become a very bourgeois thing almost. If you want to get things on vinyl anymore, you have to find a certain shop and overflated prices, and it's yeah, it's just not fun, and it's really expensive. And when you can just get it on Apple Music for nothing, not nothing, you pay 10 bucks a month, but when you can get it that easily and absurdly high quality, what's the point? Why would I go pay $80 to have the same music so I could tote it around with the rest of my records? It's making less and less sense. So Boris Blank, Resonance, I highly recommend it. Now, my record of the month, and this came out of nowhere, and I have the record here, and so there's no reason for me to not show it. Sorry, let me get something. I'm fooling around with my computer here a little bit. I'm going to show this because, yeah, it's right here and there's no reason for me to not show it. This is my album of the month, and this one caught me by total surprise. I ordered this from Amazon, of all places. I pre-ordered this a few weeks ago. This is Rafael Toral. I think it's Toral, maybe Terrell, but I think it's Toral. Rafael Toral and his new album, Spectral, what was it called? Spectral Evolution. Now, I'm a fan of this guy. He's been producing music for a long time, well over 20 years, maybe even 30 years. He's always been an ambient guy. He's a found sound guy. You hear a lot of sampling and lots of experimental ambience going on with his music. And he's got some really excellent albums, but he hasn't done anything for a while, maybe a couple years in album form. This has been on along with the J Mascis album, of course. This has been on repeat the last couple days. This is so unique. I am when it comes to ambient music, I'm pretty picky about it because it's just hard to find new ways to turn. It's hard to find new ways to discover found sounds when it comes to ambient music. In fact, I think in recent years, ambient music has kind of hit a wall. There aren't a lot of artists that do anything new or fresh with it. It's always like this, there's always this undercurrent of like warm synthesizer pulse with this some light sampling on top and some noise on the top, and it's all become very samey to me. People seem to love it though. There are plenty of ambient artists out there who people just worship and think is fantastic, but for me, someone who's been listening to ambient music for a long time, it's hard for me to find something that I'm super excited about. This is the best ambient record I've heard in maybe a decade. Now, I've only had it for a few days, but nothing has gripped me more tightly than this new Rafael Toral album. This is gorgeous stuff, people. If you like ambient music, you need to go buy this right away. Now, I know this is a subjective review. I love ambient music, but as a more objective point of review, I would recommend anybody listen to this if you want to hear something that's just strikingly original. This dude kind of takes ambient music and he's going in a new direction with it. Now, I think a lot of people will be thrown by this album because of this. You have a bird on the cover. And people might see this and think, oh, it's just an album of bird sounds. And it is. You wouldn't be incorrect. But this album seems to be Toral taking bird sounds and completely distorting it to the point of maybe not recognizing it as a bird sound. In fact, it's a very spooky sounding album. It wouldn't surprise me to hear this type of music in a horror movie soundtrack or something. It's very spooky, very moody, very dark, very insulated, very claustrophobic, very moody. But that's what I love about ambient music. It's hard to describe, man. And how often do you hear music in general that's hard to describe, much less ambient music? You say ambient music and you automatically think, okay, well, yeah, I have a good have a good idea what that might sound like. You don't know what this sounds like until you hear it. I've been listening to this a lot the last few days, and damn, this is excellent shit. I don't know that I feel comfortable in saying it's his best album because he's got a lot of great stuff, but my preliminary view of this after 2 days of listening is this could be his best album. I can't remember having such a strong visceral reaction to any of his other albums in the past. So there's that. So subjectively, I would recommend don't walk, run to get this. Objectively, I would say listen to this. You owe it to yourself if you like weird music. And I think most people who watch my channel, you're here initially, you found my channel because I like weird music and I like talking about weird music. This is weird music. Listen to this. Oh, this is so good. I can't get enough of this record right now. It's just so, it's very original. I've never heard anything like it. I mean, there are elements of stuff that you've heard before, but it's all constructed and put together in a completely fresh and unique and new way. Rafael Toral. Rafael, bravo, man. You crushed it. Not that he's watching this video, but if I were talking to him, I would say you have crushed it. You have outdone yourself. This is a gorgeous, gorgeous record, and I love it. Love it. Absolutely my album of the month for February 2024. Do yourself a favor and pick this up. All right, I'm going to scram. Thank you for watching, and I will talk to you later. Bye bye.